Hi, Spots and Cheap Pops. You're on the air.
You do Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. They had a fantastic match. These are two of the very best women going right now, not just character wise, but bell to bell. They have a great match. Good finish. I thought it was a great finish, a nice little bow to their rivalry. Now we can all move on. Judgment
Yeah.
Day. We could stop whatever this mid card disaster that is the Judgment Day. They can do and hopefully disband and something happens cool out of that. And Rhea Ripley can go on to face somebody of epic proportions at WrestleMania. She'll have a couple of defenses in the meantime, but Rhea Ripley retakes her spot as the number one woman in the sport, and I think she definitely is that. Liv Morgan, fantastic title run, some great
Yeah.
matches, and she made sense with a lot of the things that she did and absolutely killed it. She actually became one of the real top player for WWE this year. So big congrats to her in 2024 and a great title run. But Rhea Ripley is the top dog, and she retook her spot right there. And I'm sure she'll have it going into WrestleMania. And maybe we have Charlotte and Rhea 3.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. I know the return of Charlotte's going to be happening sooner than later, and the season is right, especially for her return, and that would be big money. I mean, that could be possibly a headliner,
That would
main
be
event.
because you can have that, well, our legacy, our history already, and who the
Yeah,
very best in the ring is. And
yeah,
you don't have that with the women too much. Usually it's like, oh, you took my boyfriend. Oh, you're a bitch. Ooh.
yeah.
That's every NXT promo.
Thank God that creepy old man isn't here anymore.
But so yeah, so your opinions on the match and what did you think and what do you think is going to be coming up maybe for Liv and Dominic? So people are suggesting Dominic tried to reconcile with Rhea at the end. Is Dominic and Liv gonna turn heel? Maybe you separate Liv from Dom. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It just I'm not even that concerned, to be honest with you, what happens. I do appreciate Liv, Jersey Girl, and everything. Great title run, as you mentioned. Um,
And she enjoys Mother Nature's finest.
Evidently, yeah, she's a fan, and she had this was good for her career, and she held it well. Like it wasn't like another segment with her. It's like she was usually pretty entertaining, puts on a decent match. Really did what really had a nice reign. So I'm happy Rhea Ripley has it now. As far as what happens with her and Dominic, I don't know, man. I could care less. Really, it's a situation where I'm looking for these like Judgment Day segments aren't necessarily my favorite, and I usually either just
Garbage.
look at my phone or fast forward it. So
Yep. The garbage. They've been
yeah,
terrible since. I mean, you literally it's like losing all three, like Hogan, Nash, and Hall out of the NWO when they
yeah,
lost Damien and I know Finn was like a bigger deal once he got into the group, but
yeah,
I mean Judgment Day just they even as tag team champions, their tag team run was garbage. They barely defended it. No one cared when they did.
yeah,
It's just they like Finn Balor's. I know he's fought for the world title, but Finn Balor's stock has drastically gone down in my eyes. I know, look, they can do whatever they want and try to make him a top guy all they want. It hasn't worked since he got hurt his shoulder the one day. Like,
yeah,
I think he's good, and JD McDonough is good, and Carlito's good, but they just are not what. Again, you had Judgment Day, you had the women's world champion, the men's world champion, tag team champions. They literally ran roughshod in 2023. 2024, they were garbage. I know Liv Morgan was a star and she was a world champion for a dominant
yeah,
part of that. But even with Judgment Day as the tag titles, they weren't interesting and nobody cared. And they certainly weren't the team that ran roughshod and carried that show by any stretch. They tried and it failed. So Triple H stopped doing it. Something that you definitely wanted to talk about, and I'll let you quarterback this one. We had the Yeetmeister, Yeetman Jones,
yeah. Main
the
event.
lesser of DUI offenders of of his tag team. Jey Uso faces the greatest wrestler in the world today, by far. Totally unbiased opinion, Drew McIntyre. You didn't
Yeah.
like this, so let's go. What does Vladi Dottie think about this match? Jey Uso and
Yeah, no secret. I'm not necessarily the biggest Jey Uso fan. Where I think he's got a good entrance. I kind of dig the vibe. I get it. I understand why he's popular. It's almost like an Orange Cassidy thing for me. Really, what sort of killed me with Jey Uso was the main event, or I'm sorry, the match that he had with Jimmy at WrestleMania. I've been sort of sour on that ever since. I can't get that out of my mind, and I've just been sticking with that. So they're doing quite well with him. I'm sure he's selling a lot of merch. It's great for the crowd and great for TV. And the thing is, after you get past that, it's like it's kind of like almost dare I say like Adam Cole baby. Currently, people are there, they're happy. As he's coming out, he does the boom, and then it's all downhill from there, right? So
great comparison.
Yeah, so that's sort of on the similar level. And when I have that in a match with Drew McIntyre, who I have the utmost respect for, one of my favorite wrestlers, and I get having Drew lose. However, what I didn't like is the roll up. It was very like Vince McMahon booked to me. And I don't think Drew, after the feud he had with Punk, just his most recent, like trying to gather like almost like righteous help from Mike Owens and or like Seth Rollins, like it's just, to me, it's not a good time for him to job if he's like looking to go and sort of seem empowered at this point and go against Roman and go against the Bloodline and, go against eventually Cody. Anybody connected. And then here's main event Jay, and he gets a roll up, and it's just I'm like Vince would have done that too.
And it wasn't that good of a roll up either. Like it's one thing if it's like a small package out of nowhere, or you have a little bit of a go back and forth, and then something like a Zack Sabre Jr. Now might be a little bit of an extreme.
Right.
Not like Jey Uso's going to do anything for Zack Sabre Jr., but anything where you get a roll up. Anything that makes a little bit more sense opposed to, he's distracted, he missed it, and then he'll roll up and it's over. I agree with you. I don't know if they did it because they felt like maybe the first match was really overbooked and they didn't want to go crazy. And then you go look at in a different way, the Punk match, it couldn't be that epic one-on-one match because they needed to save that for Seth Rollins and Punk.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why. I think Drew is strong enough and big enough where he's going to this is going somewhere else. And I think Drew's going to still be run quite a havoc on everybody involved with the Bloodline. However, I will say this. They could have done a better job to at least save Drew's reaction. It was like a quick thing, and then they went to a Gunther promo. Like they didn't. Yeah. I wanted to see how pissed Drew was. I wanted to see how angry he was. And then you see him joking, and it might have been before the match. He's joking around with The Rock. It seemed like it was either right before his match or after. It had to have been before his match because The Rock left.
Yeah.
His match, so. But it was kind of a funny back and forth between Drew and The Rock. He's like, we're on Netflix now, so we could say fuck. And The Rock said, yeah. He's like, how about this? And then he's like, you're going too far now. The Rock was just all full of love for everybody last night.
He's full of love, full of drinking and driving. It was a great night had by all.
And what about the Yeet guy coming out with a guy smoking weed?
Yeah, that was another barrier they crossed.
What the hell was that? First of all, I'm sure that building is no smoking. Is there anybody who cares about the rules? This is not Vietnam. There are rules.
Exactly.
Yeah,
man. I saw
pot, and I'm like, that's not. I want to smoke pot at wrestling shows. I can't even smoke pot on YouTube.
Is that okay now? Like, is that it's okay? Like, we've gone from very family friendly to rated E for everyone.
Now we know why our Rob Van Dam just signed a Legends contract. Now we know why.
He's just gonna do like audience spots coming down the stairs, just smoking a blunt.
That's got to be the situation.
It's acceptable.
Yeah, it's got to be the situation for sure. I was just cracking up watching it. I was like, is this for real right now?
Yeah, I was a little like shell shocked too. I'm like, this is totally happening. They're doing this.
This guy's smoking weed with And does Jey Uso smoke weed too? And is that what part of the? Because most of that blunt was ripped. That was at least down to half of that spliff. It looked like a spliff though. They are on the West Coast, so it probably was a spliff. Everyone knows blunts are on the East Coast and spliffs are on the West Coast. You knew that, yes? Here. You knew that.
I didn't know that. No, actually. Yeah, see, when I hear spliff, is a spliff like where they're mixing tobacco in it?
Perhaps. Sometimes a spliff is with angel dust, but a spliff is when you.
Where are you partying?
I thought a spliff was when you put a couple of like a long joint. You do a longer joint together, like a combo joint.
Oh, okay.
But
gotcha.
But either way, it was white paper. So that's why I thought it might have been a spliff. Or another one that we also called spliffs was when you took the blunt and you wrapped rolling paper around that, and that makes it a spliff. I don't know why we did that, but we did do that back in the day. Made no sense.
A little bit overboard.
It was stupid. But we did it. Shout out to Cheese, my good friend Cheese. He used to roll those.
Seemed like Cheese enjoyed wasting his time.
Well, I had to hang out with him because I didn't know how to roll blunts at the time.
So he was the guy. We were just talking about that before the show. You got to have a guy.
You got to have a guy for those kinds of things until you grow up and you're in your 40s and you figure you have to roll your own blunts.
You had to grow up sometime, right?
And now I could be on WWE TV, but that was such that and the drinking and a couple of curse words. Yeah. This is definitely not going to be the same old PG Raw that we've been seeing the last decade or two whenever they went to PG. Nick Khan said that's exactly what they're going to do. That was not the case from what we saw last night.
Right. They're burning bridges, crossing borders. We're streamlining.
But they are now able to be watched by a lot more people globally. I think this whole Netflix thing, the big thing is just how they can further their audience to parts of the world that really didn't have a lot of access to WWE. That's what this big thing is for Netflix. Netflix has that much more reach. But anyway, so I don't love Jey Uso as a main event guy, but hey, I feel like that booking was simply because they didn't want to hear Rikishi go on his podcast and bitch how Jey Uso's getting buried again after the guy's had one of the top years of anybody in 2024. Hey, he's getting screwed over.
Yeah, Jay definitely had a pretty good year. He's not mid-card Jey Uso. It's main event Jey Uso, and he's definitely holding to that moniker.
He probably saw Jey Uso against Drew McIntyre, and Rikishi called his buddy The Rock.
Remember when I hit that guy with
Triple H?
Yeah. Rikishi holds that favor over The Rock's head when the time he hit that guy with the car.
Ever since he hit Stone Cold to keep him out of WrestleMania 16. So The Rock could be the big babyface to win, and Rock became the first top babyface to lose a WrestleMania main event ever.
Wow.
That's not true. Bret Hart did, but then Hogan walked out with the title. But that was
horse shit.
That may not know that. That was the first time in WrestleMania history the heel walked out as world champion.
Wow.
First time in 16 years. And surprise, surprise, it was the guy who wound up running the company, Triple H. Thank you so much for watching High Spots and Cheap Pops. For Vladi Dottie, this is Silicon Steve Alley. Hit the subscribe button and let us know what you think. Thank you for watching, and here endeth the lesson.